Alright, so I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble this HP laptop model 17-BY0053CL. Alright, so first thing you're going to want to do is remove all the screws from the bottom. And there's some hidden screws under these rubber covers, so we're going to peel these off. Alright, so let's peel these little rubber things off. You want to get underneath. Usually the adhesive might stick onto the bottom, so you want to make sure that the adhesive is coming up. Okay, and then we're going to peel this off. Alright, just like this. And then to keep track of it, I just flip it over like that, so that way when I go back I can flip it back over on top. Okay. Alright, we're going to remove the bottom one as well. Alright, just like this. And you kind of want to pull up, make sure you're pulling up the adhesive because the rubber will stretch. Alright, so just like that. We'll set that one aside as well. Alright, and this one has a thinner piece of rubber. The one on the back has a thicker piece of rubber. Alright, so now we're going to remove all the screws. These are all PH1 or JAS1 screws. You do want to keep them in order because they can be different size, shape, and length. And if you put the wrong screw in the wrong hole, you can cause damage. The way I do it, I just take the screws out in the rows that they're in. And I put them on my desk with the flat side down, like this, so that way they just stand up. Alright, and I'll just take them out and place them in their rows. So 4 across here, I'll put that in a row, and then we'll go across. We'll see another one here. If you're just trying to take out the optical drive or the CD drive, you only need to take out this one screw here. Okay, so we'll take that screw out. And to take out the optical drive, after you get the screw out, you just run your fingernail up and down here as you kind of like put some slight pressure. And if you keep doing that, eventually it will wiggle out. Just keep going. So here it kind of came out, but it's still a little stuck. There we go. Huh, why is it stuck so much? It's kind of strange that it's stuck so strong in there. Usually once you get it past the connector here, it should just pop out. You might have to flip the laptop upside down to get this one out. Let's see here. Nope, it's still stuck. Huh. Interesting. Okay, let's see. Why is it still stuck in there? Okay, if it's stuck really bad, we might have to use a paper clip, so like a bent one like this. And then there's a little hole here. Just get the paper clip in there, and that will eject the CD drive. Once you have the CD drive ejected, pull it all the way out, and then grab the little sliding mechanism here, and you can use that to kind of help wiggle and pull it. Alright, then we'll close that, and there we go. So we got the CD drive. I'm not sure why it was stuck in there so strong, but anyways, here you can see there's 2 more screws under here. We're going to remove those as well. Okay. Alright, once you remove those, we're going to get these 2 here. Alright, and then to make things easier, you can just put these 3 in a row. Just keep in mind, there's these shinier ones here, and then this one is more like a white, powdery gray. Okay. Alright, once you get all those screws out, what we're going to do, well, hopefully you made sure your computer was off. This one was off because the thing didn't work. You want to open it slowly because now you don't have all the screws holding the hinges in place. Okay, and then we're going to look for the gap here. So the gap is actually on the inside. So I don't know if you can see, but it's on the inside here. And what I do is I use my fingernails in this gap like this with my front fingernails. Okay, so what I do is I just feel for them like that, and then I use my thumbs on the back to push while I pull with my fingernails just like this. Okay, and here you can see it pops out. You can use pry tools if you want, but I find this works a lot easier. So you do what you want. Some people complain about my fingernails, but they are very useful. So that's what I use. Oh, got some stuff popping out here. Alright, so keep going all the way around. These little clips can be a little more tricky. You kind of have to wiggle this little plastic bar around a little bit to get it to clear. Okay, let's see if we can get it. There we go. Okay, and then push that in. There we go. And the cover's released. Okay, so we got all of that out. The back ones, usually you can kind of just wiggle it, and there we go. So we got this cover off. It's pretty dusty in here, so I'm actually gonna clean this up and then I'll be back. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, so I'm back, cleaned out the dust. All right, so it's a lot cleaner now. Okay, so now we're gonna go over the internal components. Let's see, so we got a speaker connector here. So the speaker disconnects, there's these little wings. Actually, let me go step by step. So the hard drive and the RAM you can replace without removing the battery. But if you want to be safe, you can remove the battery and then press and hold the power button for 10 to 15 seconds before popping things out, just to make things a little bit safer. So the battery model number here is HT03XL. Let me actually zoom in to make this easier to see. Okay, so battery model number here, HT03XL. And it looks like there's 4 screws holding it in place. There's 1 screw here, 1 screw over on this side, and then there's 1 on each corner down here for this thing. All right, once you remove those screws, you can actually just pull the battery up and out, and it will come out, but I'm gonna leave it in place. All right, so let's see here. Well, actually, I'll pop them out. Okay, let me zoom out here. All right, so let's remove the screws, just so you can kind of see what's underneath. All right, since this will make it a little bit safer to work on anyways. There's a M.2 SATA SSD port, or actually I don't know if it's SATA or PCIe. They didn't label it here. It might support PCIe, but I don't know. These kinds of things I don't really experiment with, so you'd probably have to look online, see if other people tried, and see what they got. All right, anyways, we removed the 4 screws, then you can get underneath here and pull this straight up. All right, and then the battery comes out like this. Clean out the dirt. Okay, so here you can see there's the touchpad connector here, and then you got the touchpad buttons here. These cables, just like the keyboard cable here, well, I'll show you when I remove the hard drive connector. I might not actually have to remove that, but we'll see. But these all have this little flap. You can flip that up, and then you can pull the cables out pretty easily. So I'm going to leave these as is. The CPU is soldered to the board. You got the fan connector here. All right, so let's see, what else is there? I mentioned the speaker connector. You got the LCD LVDS connector here. If you do mess with this, make sure that you remove the battery and then open up the screen. Again, open it slowly and gently because it doesn't have all the screws holding the hinge, and then press and hold the power button down here 10 to 15 seconds. You want to do this to drain any power that's in the computer, so that if you do happen to short something or cross some wires, there's a lot less chance that you'll damage anything. All right, 10 to 15 seconds. And then once you do that, just close this back up and you can work on the computer more safe. Okay, so the RAM here, it pops out just like this. You pull the 2 tabs out here to the sides. All right, and here you got the RAM, PC4 2666V. You can use any size of RAM. As long as it's PC4 2666V, you shouldn't have any issues. So you can get 2 16 gig sticks if you want, though most people don't go beyond 8 gigs, so adding extra usually won't really help too much. If you are going to upgrade your computer, I highly recommend an SSD. This one, the hard drive actually failed, so we are going to be putting an SSD in there anyways. It looks like on this hard drive it's just held in with this rubber bracket around it. So we are going to disconnect this. It looks like this cable is held in with some adhesive here, so I am going to just leave that connector there. But again, like I was saying, these connectors, you just flip this latch up and then you can pull the cable out. But they did put adhesive on these, so I don't want to kind of try and peel them up. This one's probably okay, yeah. So this one doesn't have adhesive, so I can kind of show. See, once you flip the latch, you can easily pull these out, and then you can put this back in. All right, so get that connector back in. There's actually some adhesive, but it's not sticking that strong. All right, so here's the M.2 slot. The SSD would actually go down here, and there's a little screw that holds it in place. And again, I don't know if it's a M.2 SATA or PCIe NVMe SSD slot. Usually SATA is backwards compatible, the PCIe slots are backwards compatible with SATA. Not always, but most of the time. So if you're not sure, or if you don't have a good way to get an SSD with a good return policy, I would say just get a SATA version. All right, you got the DC jack here. The plug actually connects under here. It's a little bit covered by all these other cables, but if you do remove this, the easiest way is you take all the screws out. Once you take all the screws out from the hinge connector here, or the hinge, you just open the laptop slightly, all right, so that the hinge is kind of staying up, and then you just push the screen back down and the hinge will stay open. Then you can flip it all the way over and pull this connector out. All right, so yeah, again, CPU is soldered to there, and then we're gonna go ahead and remove the hard drive so we can put the SSD. I actually have my customer here picking up a computer, so I will actually be back. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, I'm back. So let's remove the hard drive. I'm gonna zoom in. All right. Okay, so the hard drive looks like this. It's a 2.5-inch SATA. We're going to be replacing it with a 1 terabyte BX500 Crucial. If you need a link to that, just let me know. Any 2.5-inch SATA SSD will work with this, so if you want different storage amounts, capacities, things like that, you can do that. Just make sure it's a 2.5-inch SATA. All right, so first thing we're going to do is disconnect this from the hard drive. So I just use my fingernail here and kind of like pull on it, just like this on both sides. If this is too difficult to remove, what you can do, if you have a very thin, you want kind of wide tool like this, so you can get that, and then you can get that in the little gap. And then once you get it in the gap, you can kind of twist it slightly, and there you go. It pops off really easily, just like that. There you go. All right. All right, so just be careful not to bend this cable too much. All right, so we got this connector off, just like this. I don't know why they taped it down here, so it's kind of a little bit risky to work on. But anyways, once you get that, take your finger underneath the hard drive, not on these little connectors, under the hard drive itself, and then you can pull this up just like this. Okay, so I was lifting from here. Okay. And then we can transfer this bracket over to the new drive. So this bracket, it's not screwed in or anything. It just comes out like this. You kind of just wiggle it and pull it over to the sides, just like that. It has these little rubber pegs that hold it in. Okay, and then you just take it out. Make sure you keep this the same way when you get the new drive. So same thing, connector going this way. All right, and then the flat side of the drive faces down. All right, so just get those little pegs into the screw holes of the new drive. It's getting all dust and junk all over it, crumbs. Okay, all right, get those little pegs over, just like that. All right, make sure the pegs go in. Okay, once you get that, as you can see, this part sticks out. And we want it to go, let me get all this dust and stuff out. There's like dirt and dust, crumbs and stuff stuck on here. I don't know. There we go. Okay, so once we got that, what we're gonna do, we take the drive, you get these little peg feet back underneath, all right, just like this. Once you slide that into place, of course, make sure the connector is out of the way, and then you just drop this back down, make sure that the rubber is going in place, okay? And then get this connector. There's all this gunk on it. Let me make sure to get that out. I don't want it to mess up the thing. Okay. Okay, just like that. Then we take this connector, same thing, get that in, and then push that. All right, so now we got the SSD installed. We're going to put the battery back in. The only other thing I forgot to mention is there's a wireless card here. So the antenna, there's only one antenna, but you basically pull it up from the tail. You just pop it straight up and it will disconnect. And when you put it back, just make sure it's lined up, push it back down. Oh, actually there's more. So the optical disk drive connector here is replaceable. You can see it has a connector here you can remove, as well as the USB and SD card slot on this side. That cable is disconnectable. All right, so let's put it back together. I'm gonna zoom back out. All right, we're gonna put the battery back in. So you start with these bottom feet. Actually, let me get all these crumbs and stuff out of here. Okay, start with the bottom feet here. You wanna line up these little cutouts with the little plastic pegs that stick up. After you do that, just make sure this all lines up here. I like to kind of push the thing forward so that it's as far up on the pins as possible, and then just push that down right there. All right, you want to make sure you push down here to get it to connect properly. Okay, so let's put back the screws. After you do that, this battery actually acts as the CMOS, and the CMOS or the BIOS battery, or some people call it the RTC real-time clock battery. Okay, so this battery actually acts as that. There's no separate BIOS or CMOS battery for this laptop. All right, so let's put back all the screws here. I don't remember if the laptop is charged or not. I might have to plug it in. But anyways, once we get all those screws back in, we just take the cover, okay? Put this back on. It helps to put this back side in first, opposite of how we took it out, basically. Just doing everything in reverse, okay? So go like that, and then just work your way down. Make sure to clip these back in, but just work your way down, okay? All right, just like that, and then go along the front here. Clip that all in. There we go. Again, go around one time, just checking all the clips. Make sure everything looks good and snapped into place. There we go. All right, and then we can go ahead and put back the screws. I like to start with the CD drive or optical drive screws, just so, or the part that's underneath here, just so I don't forget. All right, just like this, and just like that. All right, once you get those two screws in, you can take the optical drive and put that back in so you don't forget. All right, and now we just put back the rest of the screws, 4 along the top here. All right, just like this. Alright, and the screw to hold in the optical drive. Alright, these 2 side screws. And the screws that go underneath this rubber foot. And then this center screw here. Okay, so now that we got all those screws in, we just got to put the little rubber feet back on. Okay, again, hopefully you kept it so that you can figure out which way it goes, or you can just line it up here again and see. As you can see from this, or I don't know if you can, but the rubber is stretched slightly, so it goes further than the thing. So the way you put this back, you start with one edge and kind of push it as far to the edge as you can. All right, and then what you do is you lift it up, don't worry about the rest, and then go over to this side and then get this edge lined up. Okay, so now that you got both of these edges lined up, you can kind of go towards the center here. Okay, and you'll see how it bubbles up on both those. Then you can kind of push it in, and that kind of evenly pushes the rubber piece back in towards the center. So do this the same thing with the bottom one. Okay, put that bottom piece, get it lined up to the edge there. Right, get the other one, same thing, line it up to the edge here. Okay, sometimes you have to pull it a little bit to make sure it lines up. There we go. And then you can kind of pull this up, get it lined up, push the middle in. All right, and then just go ahead and get everything else lined up into place. There we go. So now we got the computer completely reassembled. I'm gonna flip it over and turn it on, and we're gonna have to actually install the operating system here. There's so many crumbs and stuff here. Let me actually clean this up and I will be back. All right, so I got it all cleaned up. Let's see if it powers on or if I need to plug it in. Okay, it looks like I'm gonna have to plug it in. Actually, it's turning on. Okay. So the first time you turn it on, it's going to take a while because we disconnected the battery. So it's going to be booting up the OS. Right now the screen's just staying black. Let me see if I can show this. I don't know if it's starting up right now, but it's just staying black right now. And there we go. Oop, what just happened? Did the battery die? I think the battery ran out. Let me plug it in. Oh, nope, it's just starting up. Okay, so the computer's starting up. Here you can see it's giving a message. Let's see what it says. Enter administrator password. Oh, I have to ask them for that password. Okay, so I can't show the rest of this until I find out that admin password from them. But pretty much it's going to say that the BIOS or the clock was reset. Just reset the time. And then we're basically just going to install Windows on there. But I have a video that shows how to do that. On HPs, what you do, I believe it was F9 to do the boot device. It's either F9 or F11. I think it's F9, and that will let you choose a temporary boot device. So you want to have a bootable Windows 10 USB or whatever operating system you're running, and then you can select that device and boot from it. But anyways, that's all there is to this. Hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like and subscribe. Help others find my videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.